And in the bottom right here in the blue on one of the best runs of his career for the Shopify Rebellion, Harstem. Or Harstem if you prefer.
I like Harstem, actually.
I really like Harstem.
He causes harm to all of his opponents. No one is left out. I don't know. It seems cool to me.
I mean, I know after that game 5 on, what was it, Tuesday? I was not, I felt physically harmed. You know, like I had to take the rest of the day off. The games were so sick.
Oh, yeah. No, his series against Hurricane was freaking awesome. So happy to, get it done. Obviously, 5 games. After there was a bunch of 3-0s as well. It was nicely done. Cool. Yeah, excited to see what he brings out in this series, right? Harstem, when I talk to him, to me, is always like, I know all the players have their own little things, but Harstem's always very like, hey, in this game, I think I'm going to do this. It's like, I want to do this. I want to do that. And he always has like these little inventive things he wants to try. And, whether that's just putting the gate down a little early, again, the first unit across the map soon. I know that's something he used to love doing on this map quite a lot. Obviously, maybe not so big of an idea here when he goes Nexus before core, which might be something to talk about as well, considering it is a shorter map. You go Nexus before that core, it delays your Adept and so on. So yeah, to me, Harstem, he's going to have a few little things, I think, picked out to try and make work in this series. And having been teammates with Clem for so long, obviously no longer, as he's on the Shopify Rebellion now, I think that works in his favor a little bit too, because he's still somewhat familiar with what Clem likes to do, maybe Clem's way of thinking, and maybe how he can start to get in there and abuse that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. In general, Harstem, he's been talking about how he can find ways to simplify this matchup, find ways to just make it so it's, well, maybe the Terran can't move out and I can own the map and I just, flood Zealots into them or whatever the case may be. So I'm not too surprised to see that this is a Stargate opener coming out from Harstem in game 1. But you talk about the Adept being a little bit delayed. It does mean Clem is going to be able to knock down one probe before the Reaper gets out. And hey, he gets a good scout, does see that the Stargate is there, as mentioned. And getting a probe is always going to be a nice thing. I don't think he's going to be able to get a second. And there we go. With the Shade not completing, it's going to be able to zone out for now. But hey, Wordy, denying mining time in the natural, that's still pretty obnoxious.
Yeah, I mean, any mining time denial is nice, right? It just puts you ahead already. It's awesome. It throws you off your build that little bit. And especially these Protoss builds, they're very precise. So yeah, this is already very annoying. And especially with someone who, like Clem, who's so good at his own build, so good at hitting his timings. If there's a little bit of mining loss means he misses one unit exactly when the Hellions want to run in, maybe that's the extra probes that Clem gets. It has that snowballing effect for sure. So a lot to be kind of cautious of. And I understand why Harstem wants to go Phoenix as well, right? Just wants to say, look, I don't want to mess around. I want to get in a position nice and early here where I'm comfortable. I can shut down aggression and just get to the mid game. Because I think for Harstem, it is going to be about getting to that later stage of the game. Early game is where Clem is going to dominate. So playing stuff like Phoenix that can defend against that is absolutely, I think, key to him, not just in this game, but in this entire series.
Oh, look at that, though. Hellion in the natural is going to get another worker or two. And did the Reaper maybe get one of the main base? Regardless, 2 further probes have fallen. But you're right. Two base Stargate Colossus is, I mean, it really is a standard on this map. And when we've talked about what Harstem wants out of this series and how he wants to approach the games, it does make a lot of sense. Again, you simplify things, you make that early game harassment that you were talking about from Clem not invalid, but almost invalid unless he does something pretty crazy, like get 3 probes early on, and then eventually you get your 3rd. Eventually, you worry about expanding further, but for now, your entire goal is to prevent this 3-1-1 push coming out of the Frenchman to really do too much.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's the power. Just stand on these 2 bases, right? It should mean that the initial push isn't as good, isn't as powerful, just much easier to kind of make work. So yeah, again, Viking Cyclone lock on. Obviously, Phoenix shouldn't be looking to go down here at all. Taking a little bit of hull damage, a little painful, not too crazy though. Not the end of the world at least. And yeah, it just means that Harstem is doing a good job of scouting, right? He's trying to make sure he knows what's coming his way. He wants to make sure he knows what is about to happen in these fights. And that's obviously very important to take note of as well, right? Because that information can be very, very good for you as time goes by.
Oh no, especially if you are, again, worried about these early timings maybe, or just trying to pull something strange. We talked about Harstem having map-specific ideas about what he wants to do, maybe going Mass Gateway one game and or going Nexus Core, whatever it is, the slight wrinkles in his play that just prove that his brain is less smooth than the rest of ours. Well, you got to make sure you know what's happening, and Clem's doing a fairly good job of that one. But by the time that Clem's push out on the map happens here, there's going to be almost 2 Colossus on the map. Certainly the first one will be there. So I wonder almost, Wardy, whether we're going to see this scenario that the Terrans occasionally do where they say, yes, I am moving out. Don't worry about it. It's going to be great. And then they start to realize that it's not going to happen. So they put pressure on. They force additional warp-ins. They force additional static defense. And then they go back and they take their third base and they say, yeah, it's fine. I didn't lose anything. My supply continues to grow. I'll just hit a little bit later with more stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to be said about the retention of units for Terran players. And, you know, because even just more units means more threat on the map, being able to drop them where maybe split that Protoss army up as they get to the 3 bases. I'm not going to come all the way across. I mean, honestly, this doesn't look very good for Harstem. He doesn't have a battery here or anything. And Clem doesn't have stim quite yet, though, so this fight started maybe a little bit earlier than he would like it to. That Colossus will put in work. The battery, as it finishes, is already targeted down. Now we're about to have stim, but the Phoenix are here, too, to help out. Harstem loses 8 probes already, and that is just expensive. Especially if a lot of this bio now gets away. We will lift the Viking up. Obviously, the Phoenix do have a lot of chase potential. That's the one good thing here for Harstem. He's getting some value at the very end of all of this.
That is. We also got to remember, most of those Marines, they died because, hey, Colossus are fantastic against that. So it's not even like Clem can turn around and snap down Phoenix and punish for the chase. Instead, he just gets a couple Marauders. The army retreats from Clem as he's got his third base now on location. But here's the question. How well does Harstem respond to this one? Looks like a decent pull for right now. How is Clem's target fire? It's not going to get there in time. The Widow Mines fall. We're going to see the medevac likely die as well. So nice job there from Harstem, keeping himself safe. And Chrono is a powerful thing, so he's building that economic, not necessarily a lead, but he's saturating his third base as well as he can be. So the question now, really, Wardy, is when does that Twilight go down? When does Harstem start to move into charge and add more complexity to his army than just, I have Phoenix and I have Colossus and I have maybe something tanking for those 2 power units?
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because like now is kind of the time he's going to get Immortal up and so on, right? And just try and go in that kind of direction, as we actually have a nice little hallucination clear out of mine. I feel like Harstem at this point now would like to kind of change up what he's doing. Clem is at that position where he's building his Vikings, right? So he's definitely getting to a different stage of this game. He's getting to a point where it's like, okay, I've got an answer to Colossi well on the way up now. It's soon that Harstem needs to switch it up. And Clem, obviously, his next step would just be Ghost, which is just a natural transition once you get up to extra gases on your third. So yeah, it definitely feels like Harstem needs to keep things moving here. Otherwise, things get troubling pretty quickly.
Yeah, they do, but we do have the Twilight on the way now, and the Balls, the Disruptors on the way as well. So certainly Harstem is increasing the complexity of this army. The thing I'm starting to get worried about a little bit now, and he still has some time, is the fact that he's still on equal basis with the Terran when he has been trying to play this kind of very defensive, powering style, which at a certain point does start to trade in maybe not the best way once those Ghost Academies do, once you do go heavier charge lot style. So you do want to get that 4th base eventually. You do want to stay that 1 base up on the Terran. But anyway, charge on the way now. Archons as well eventually. Just again, add that buffer. But nice Widow Mine shot. The Phoenix have really not done much aggressively this game. So losing 1 or heavily wounding 1 as things move on. Clem's going to be pretty happy about that, especially as the Ghosts come out, Wardy, because Ghost versus Phoenix, that's pretty one-sided.
Yeah, no, as the Ghosts come in here, the Phoenix really do just become less and less useful. They're not going to be anywhere near as tanky. They naturally clump up, of course. The EMPs are easy to hit. And if you lose the energy on the Phoenix, it just takes away one more thing that the Phoenix are typically meant to be good at, which is, you know, having that lift potential, being able to maybe chase something down every now and then, you know, force a fight to be bad for Clem because he loses units as he tries to run away. All of that is kind of lost with the Phoenix not having energy. So yeah, it's definitely getting to this point where Harstem needs to be very careful about his fights. He needs to be very wary of just a Ghost or 2 kind of leading forward as well and just being like, kaboom, drop the EMPs. Clem loves it. He just runs into Initiate straight away from there. That's what these Disruptors are for. They're meant to keep those units zoned out. They're meant to stop Clem from being able to find the fights, which he really wants to get here.
Yeah, Clem has done a great job of finding fights whenever the Phoenix are not there. EMP's actually going to whiff a little bit, so the Phoenix, they still have value. They still have the ability to lift just about every Marauder, every Ghost in the fight when the fight kicks off. But for now, Clem's happy because he triggered a shield battery overcharge. He's going to rotate over to the right side, maybe really just trying to find this position where Harstem is not as strong as he is elsewhere. And lack of a shield battery, that does help. But here comes once again Harstem, 3 Colossus, multiple Disruptors. This army is an incredibly difficult one to fight into, Wardy, so it's going to be interesting to see how Clem goes for it.
Yeah, he's trying to use the ledge here, maybe get some shots on the Colossi without the Vikings ever getting in trouble, have an easy getaway where Stalkers, Archons can't chase them. That, I imagine, is going to be a big part of this. He is just trying to see if Harstem kind of slows down, moving one way or the other, but as long as Harstem keeps a rough idea of where Clem's at here, it's very tough to kind of be out of position completely. But he actually stopped there for just a second. You can see Clem. It's funny, usually the defender can rotate to their base more easily than the attacker, right? But in this position, they kind of both get there at about the same time. So you do just have to be on point as Harstem. You can't let this go on for too long. And he does have a Zealot counterattack going across the map, which is great because Clem's focusing so much right now, just right here. The fact he's actually going to have units across the map to deal with, that's going to give Harstem an opening. Maybe that's when the Disruptor's going to engage. And yeah, obviously Clem has to put a lot of attention into, as you said, breaking into this because it's not an easy position or army to attack into at all.
No, it's really not. That pressure release valve from Harstem is so valid here, so necessary really in this game, and he's going to get it. 15 workers go down, and not only that, because there are so many Zealots, and because, well, they're just tanky things, it looks like for the moment Clem says, I got to back up, but no, he realizes his rally is going to be good enough here. The Zealots fall, 15 SCVs hit the deck. Harstem's on 80 probes right now. His economy is roaring, so it's starting to feel like maybe Clem is the one that really has to get something done here.
Yeah, no, it's definitely starting to get kind of to that point, right, where it's like, Clem, what are we doing? You know, where is our goal right now? 2-2 upgrade, ship weapons, okay, getting the Ghost TMP. It's very much so more of the same, and that's fine. He needs to be much more wary about Zealot run-bys. That's one thing Harstem's so good at, constantly having those Zealot run-bys available. But as Clem splits his army, Harstem almost looked like he wanted to dive in here. However, that does open the right side for attack. And this is where Harstem realizes pretty much straight away that wasn't enough army on the left. So he does recall to the right just to help him out a little bit, but with recall on cooldown, now Harstem might feel a little bit penned into his base and, you know, might find difficulty being able to justify going across the map because there's not that kind of safety button of, oh, I'm out of position, let me get back home, let's reset a little bit here, it's all going to be okay. That's gone now.
Harstem was talking on Tuesday about how, well, it's kind of hard to tear a 4-base Terran apart, but once they get to 5, it really is easy to make plays. But that is also true for a 5-base Protoss. It's so hard, especially on Berlingrad, where your 3rd is so far away from your 5th, to really defend all positions appropriately. We're starting to see that here just a little bit. We saw Harstem, he was just out of position slightly. Now, as long as he stays in this core 4 that you were talking about, it's really hard for Clem to break in, but if he's able to section off, I don't know, a 1/3 of his army on the left side and then push on the right side as well, well, 2-2 Marauders, they punch through static defense with incredible efficiency. So that is exactly what Clem's doing here. But Harstem, for now, it seems like his army split is going to be good enough. But here Clem stimming in. He decides not really worth it. And we got to remember, that is a lot of disruptors here that Clem does not really want to attack into.
Yeah, Harstem's doing a very good job realizing there's not enough missing for that right side to be under pressure, so he's just staying to the left side now. But yeah, as he goes up to 5 bases, it does open that kind of weak point for him. He has to be careful about, comes forward here, just a warning disruptor. Clem making the right moves, I think, as well. You mentioned how is he going to attack in, you know, what is he going to do? And the only real answer is to get Liberators, right? Get that Liberator range. That can give you the chance to set up positions much more comfortably. It can move you around the map much more easily. It can just punish your opponent a little bit more as well. So I think that's the right thing for Clem to be doing. He's going to get up to a good Liberator count, and for Harstem, it's going to become important soon that he techs off of what he's got as well, because you don't want to be fighting against that high Liberator count with Stalkers. You want to be fighting against it with Tempests. Maybe Carriers can work as well. In this case, I think just get some Stargates down, start teching up, because at the moment Clem is doing that, and Harstem just isn't, so trailing behind a little bit. It's not a major threat yet, because Clem needs to trade out a bit to be able to do that. But that's when Harstem needs to be ready to kind of rebuild into that himself. And again, right now, he has 1 Stargate from the start of the game. No Fleet Beacon, no extra Stargates. It's just something which he's rich enough to have set up for the future as well. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised he didn't anyway, because even if it's not the Liberators, Harstem is, you know, someone who I really kind of consider to be very quick to say, oh, I'm safe in this game. Let's start that move into Carriers. So, yeah, expecting that hopefully sooner rather than later, and more so than expecting it, because at some point, I think it's just absolutely necessary.
We did see Harstem start to do that. He got his +1 air, and I thought that was the prep for either, sometimes we see Mass Phoenix, but really not in this game state, or into that Carrier Tempest idea. But this is a scary position for Harstem to find himself in now. He's going to attack into a planetary, and this is going to be a full 270, 360 surround coming in. But if the Disruptor shots are good, maybe that's going to be something. EPs, they blanket the army right now. Clem, good splits to start here. Harstem's trying to find his way up on the high ground, but this is not the best fight right now. Wait a minute, the Vikings are going to land because all the Colossus are dead, and they're going to try to make something happen here. Liberator's doing such a good job, and no defensive Disruptor shots on the backside. But at the end of the day, 10 workers go down on the backside. DTs are good, and that was not quite a game-breaking fight for Clem just yet.
Genuinely surprised those Vikings landed, because the army was force-fielded away, so it's not like they got support very quickly. It kind of worked out, and obviously he knew the Disruptors, or seemingly knew the Disruptors were out of shots, otherwise that would maybe not have been a good call. I get it, right? The Vikings didn't have much of a use to be in the sky, but it just felt like that was a moment to chase down for almost no reason at all. Like, there almost wasn't anything there. And a nice blink forward. Harstem got good disruptor shots because Clem was so eager to attack. Harstem found his out. You know, he backed away. He went up the ramp. He said, well, if you want to attack into me now, you're going to start clumping up. And that's when the disruptors deliver. And they absolutely did. And the DTs on the back end of it, they're doing good damage. You're going to get the missile turret here forcing scans. And obviously just another 10 SCVs going down. Harstem is in real control of this game right now. Blinks the DTs out alive as well. And he's ready to pounce on this army on the left. Harstem is playing a great first game here. And he is in the driver's seat because he has just got a huge bank behind all of this. I was worried about the Liberator transition, but if Libs is just going to fly in over the Stalkers, that probably doesn't really matter. But now Harstem has to back it up again. His biggest issue is that in a straight-up fight, Stalker Disruptor is not as good. This is much more of a poking and defending army. So actually pushing in for one big engagement to maybe end this game doesn't really feel like he's set up for that. And I'm interested to see what he maybe changes to then get set up to do that.
Again, we saw Clem setting up that surround, setting that 270-degree concave on all this Blink Stalker Disruptor, and his EMPs hit as well. I mean, you're right, Harstem absolutely could not take that fight. If you can blink forward there, hey, that's a couple free Liberators. That makes this fight, or the incoming one, so much less complex now for Harstem. He sends out the Disruptor shots. He says, yeah, you're going to dodge it. I'm going to kill stuff. And then when the shots are gone, I'm going to back away. It looks like these DCs will not be able... Oh, no, two of them will. Maybe forcing a second scan there out of Clem. And there's actually not a lot of army here, so the Stalkers, they're just going to blink on top of this base. Nice. And the repairs on the Vikings, not the Planetary. That is not what you want to do there, Clem. Clem finally losing not just SCVs, but a base, a defensive emplacement into this game. Luckily for him, though, he already has 12 o'clock mining.
Yeah, Harstem's really aiming to just shut down the economy here and then eventually trade out well enough with these disruptors, but I am genuinely still worried. You know, 6 Liberators at a time. If Clem gets up to like 12 Libs, 2 rounds of production, how do you then ever attack into a position like this where these Libs are sieged? I mean, yeah, I mean, this is just a forfeit base, right? I mean, this is so difficult to engage into. Harstem's already in a corner, and he does have DTs on the map, and they might be nice, but yeah, I mean, fighting through these Libs is tough, and it feels like he's had the money and the time to really get set up in some way against these. And now I'm just very worried he's playing the very inefficient way of playing this, and even with the eco lead he's taken, it's not maybe enough. Suddenly 20 probes down, and he's going to be much more so leaning on that bank he's already created versus still having a good, strong economy on the way.
Yeah, we got to remember with EMPs as well, +2 Liberators, they don't two-shot Stalkers, they one-shot them. So that is a bit of a problem here. But now, hey, Harstem going to blink on forward, knocking down a couple more Liberators. And it looks like he's trying to find a position where he can use these DTs as part of his army, not just part of a harassment force. But actually, instead, the DTs, they're back home. The majority of Harstem's army is running across the map, or at least waffling here. It doesn't seem like Harstem really knows what he wants to do with this game state. Another scan gets forced. DTs follow one again, but Harstem, he moved across the map. Now he's going back home. He just does not, again, understand, does not seem to know what he wants to do here. But now Stalkers on the backside, Liberators sieged up on the front side. Maybe this is going to be Harstem's opportunity right now. The army, big disruptor shots, Wardy. They're going to get so much. And now the Liberators as well. They're all, you got to target them down. Harstem, you got to kill the Liberators. Not the Ghost on the ground. They're doing so much damage, Wardy.
Oh my god, these Liberators got so much done at the very end here. What a crazy fight. Every one of those disruptors was leading up, and I was like, this one, no, this one. There was going to be one that was going to hit big because Clem just couldn't escape, and he couldn't get a split. There was no room to split, and it just wasn't happening. I was like, come on, you're kidding me. Then it finally connects, but then, yeah, he blinks in. Those Libs still get a lot more damage done. I understand you're scared of those Bayous, but I feel like the Zealot had that covered. I think you got to get on top of those Libs quickly. Don't get me wrong, this still leads into a good spot for Harstem. These DTs need to keep denying bases. If he can do that, especially Clem's in trouble because Clem is really only work with the money he's making. Harstem has that bank to lean back on. So, yeah, Harstem just needs to keep this up, and he's going to deny this base on the way. Just lifts in time as those DTs will have to move out of Liberator range. We got disruptor shots that could be huge here if Clem's not paying attention, but they both, I think, got a little bit of a shock to find each other on that middle of the map right then.
Oh, hey, you going to touch me? I'm going to... Okay, no, we're just going to back up. It's okay. We're going to be okay. We're going to be copacetic here, but we do need to point out here is oh yeah, there we go. Stalkers are going to knock down a Liberator, but good EMPs force them back for now. Oh, they're going to find a lot of army on the north side here where there is really no disruptor spots. Safe. Oh,
yeah, a lot of free Liberators as well, especially need some of these further back disruptors to start firing though and protect from this advantage. He's going to blink south. Disruptor's still running right. Feels like Harstem loses a lot of Stalkers here. He's got a Liberator that's killed off a bunch of probes as well, so that's a problem he has to start dealing with also in amongst all of everything else that's happening. And yeah, just suddenly Harstem's supply is plummeting. He just can't find a good fight against this force, but if he gets one good fight, he's likely to win the game because Clem's rebuild potential is so minimal. Yeah, Harstem just needs one big fight, but again, it's hard to get. And this army composition is not good. He is going to catch some ghosts here, and that's a great start, but he doesn't have the detection. Now the ghosts are turning this into some snipes on DTs. Wow.
You know, when they told me about snipe hunts, that was not exactly what I thought they were talking about, but I guess that one works out too. We got to point out, until just about right now, Harstem has not been able to build any more disruptors, and actually, I would like to see him go back into Colossus with Liberators on the field, but regardless, no high-tech RoboBay units. They've been dead. Robos have been dead. RoboBay has been dead. So Harstem really has had to lean on this Blinkstalker Charge Lot DT Force, which, when we talk about 3-3 bio with EMPs, really not the best thing. It is not the most cost-effective way to play. So in the last minute, we've actually seen Harstem, his resources lost differential double. And you talked about it, he's no longer mining that significant amount more that he was able to take advantage of. Although knocking down a base like this, that does help.
It helps, but Clem already has the bottom left up. It's been too long without knocking down a base, right? That, I think, is the big issue here. And the last two fights, Harstem's just lost a lot. You can see on the armor graph, he's just lost a big chunk without getting much in himself. But he is going to blink in here, get a Liberator, start us off, disruptor shots. Just feels like he needs one big disruptor shot to start the initiation on these fights, right? Because with so many units on the map, and such powerful units here from the Terran, I just don't think this army of Harstem can fight at all. You're so reliant on these disruptors being good.
That you are. So we're seeing Harstem just on the other side of the map. He says, yeah, I really can't take this fight. Liberators are too scary. Ghosts are too scary. So instead, I'm going to counterattack on the other side. He's already killed, I think, like 15, 20 workers in the last minute or so. And Clem on hold position, he will lose a couple of those ghosts. A little bit of that army. Now Stalker's blink forward, trying to knock the Liberators down. 1, 2, he's not going to hang around for the third one. And you gotta remember, there are only 4 Liberators. I think they actually are out of shots right now. So Clem taking the opportunity to stem in. Zealots going in one by one, but single file is not the answer in this game, Harstem. So Clem now sieging up this base. He's gonna knock down another one. Decent disruptor shot on the backside, but nothing to really write home about. And now really the question is, did Harstem get enough on the backside? I think he got a command center, but you gotta get more than that.
Yeah, you need way more. He just hasn't had an army to fight with this entire time, and Clem's been able to just slowly push her into worse and worse positions. The disruptor count's been slowly going down and never really rising back up in a good way. And yeah, right now you can just see that Harstem doesn't have what he needs to fight. He was in such a good spot in this game, right? You know, he had a huge ban, Clem was on the ropes. He just needed one reasonable fight. Didn't even have to be like good. It could just be like okay, because he would rebuild so much faster. Maybe a fight where he gets a bunch of workers killed behind it as well. He just never found that, and obviously the longer it went without finding that, the worse it got for Harstem, as this is a moment, maybe gets a few medevacs. But yeah, the longer it goes from that point on, the worse it gets, because at that stage, you're playing with an ineffective army, and Clem's army's only getting bigger, he got more bases set up, and then it almost became an impossible task, because I'm pretty sure that Liberator's been there for an eternity in this bottom left.
Yeah, Harstem has the bottom left base, but it's not a bottom left base he can mine from, so he's going to chrono out of Phoenix right now, hoping that he can make something happen, but this is just more Stalkers dying. Harstem, for the first time in a while, below 100 supply. And Morty, the tail end of that last fight, it looked good. I'm like, I can't believe Harstem is getting as much as it is, but he has come to the realization now that this is not going to work out, and Clem takes a hard-fought game 1.
Yeah, really had to battle for it. I do think he was on the losing end of it for quite some time. But at the end of the day, he was able to close it out. And I think he knew as well, like, okay, your army is not great. You know, you're very committed to Stalker Disrupt. You've never really teched up from there. As long as that's the case, I'm okay just about hanging on, because eventually things become, you know, go in my favor. And I really do think there was a time where Harstem, and I understand you don't want to, you feel like momentum's in your favor, you maybe don't want to slow down the game. I think there was actually a huge timing window. He could maybe put the Stargates down, teched up that little bit further, and got to a fighting army, especially against that amount of libs. Just felt like by the time he really realized that that was kind of what he needed, it was way too late to then do it. And like I say, that sort of surprised me, because to me, Harstem is someone who grabs those opportunities by the horns and says, right, let's go, let's do this, right? And in this game, he's like, oh, I actually just want to play a bit more aggressively. I want to keep with this lower tech army. And this time it really didn't work out for him. I can see why. I can see the potential. But if he didn't find those moments, which he didn't, it looks like this. And his army just isn't able to win a fight for the last, like 10 minutes of the game or so, somewhere like that. Yeah, it's just those libs just force such good fights with the Terran every time.
And we got to remember also that maybe that was a map dependent consideration. We did see him get
Sure.
+1 air, and you're like, oh great, here's the transition. He's solidly on fortified bases. But Berlingrad is such a short map that we never see fights happen on one side of the map. They happen on one side of the map, then the loser, if they're aggressive, they have to retreat back home, and then it's on two sides, and it's this push me, pull you idea. So maybe it was just a scenario where Harstem says, yeah, I'm in a great spot, but I don't have the rush distance is so short. If I make this transition, not too much of my supply is going to be in production. It's going to be in tech I don't have now. And that is a great way to throw a one game. I don't know. I mean, we're going to have to ask Harstem after this series if he does win, or maybe ask Clem what he thought Harstem was going for. But if it was a map consideration, just the map is too short, well, Glittering Ashes is map 2, Wardy. That gives you a little more room.
Yeah, this should be the map where Harstem can do what he wants to do, and yeah, map consideration might be a big part of it, where he just says, right, it's Berlingrad short, I don't have the time, I don't have the chance to really get into those air units. I feel like if he's in a similar situation on this map, there's no way he doesn't tech it up, right? So let's see if we get there. In the bottom left, though, he does get the game 1 victory in the red from Team Liquid. It is Clem.
In the upper right, in the blue, trying to save us in game 2 from the curse already. He is Harstem.
You guys have been talking so much about curses on this stream for the last week.
Polaris has infected me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
I just don't feel like there is a curse. I feel like it's all in your head. I don't know. I feel like we've been we've made something. We've made maybe that's how curses start, though, right? It's not actually a curse. It's just people think through it. Okay, this is more of a cat's question. It's getting too philosophical.
The ancient Greeks, how many myths do we have of like, well, the future was told, so you got to do the thing to avoid the future, and that made the future happen anyways. So, I'll buy it.
Oh, man. And in this day and age, we just have, well, all the technology in the world to do as we wish with. All right. Well, Glitter and Ashes, what do you think Harstem opens here? Like, do you think he goes Stargate again? Because it ain't a bad Phoenix map, right? Just get up into that mid game, then you're guaranteed to be in a good place. Or do you think he does maybe play a little bit more kind of aggressively, blink open, get that map control with the Stalkers, and then maybe play that Zealot Stalker into the mid game, and just have a bit more kind of power in your own hands, kind of moving on from there? What do you think?
Yeah, I think in general, doing things to force Clem back are what we're going to see from Harstem here. So yeah, Blink Stalker is this beguiling idea, but Harstem again has talked a lot about simplifying the game state. How can he find ways to keep up with the speedy Terran that is Clem, or the speedy Terran that is Marine? And from that perspective, I mean, you talked about it going Phoenix. It's great. We're going to see it again because it takes a dimension of Terran play off the table. You're not going drop heavy play, Wardy, if there are 6-7 Phoenix on the map.
Yep, no, it's definitely one of the biggest powers to play in Phoenix, right? It's just Clem loves to drop around. He loves to be aggressive everywhere, but the Phoenix really do deny that better than anything else. It's just, I mean, I guess he can go for it here, but I do feel like obviously you can't just do that every single game, because Clem is one of these players as well who will just say, right, you're playing Stargate repeatedly. Oh, what's this? I've got a Cyclone and 6 Marines. Oh, what? They're in your base? Oh, what? You lost your Oracle and the game just ended? Oh, that's a shame. Thanks for the GGs. So I think there is definitely some power switching up. The only thing I minded here if he plays Phoenix, that's exactly what he's going to do. But hopefully, going into game 3, I do hope he changes it up a little bit then.
Oh, we're already seeing Clem adapting to this, maybe this Phoenix proclivity that Harstem is going for, because he's got that second barracks. This is going to be some semblance of like the Ryung build that dominated Katowice, where you get like a 6-minute stim instead of a 7:30, and you get a little faster, a little less stuff, but it does a great job of just absolutely kneecapping some of these incredibly defensive early builds, because they're designed to deal with that 7:30 timing. They're designed to have everything out in time, and if you hit a minute faster, well, they're just not ready yet.
Yep. No, very, very true. It's very good at, especially against these Phoenixes. Very important that Harstem doesn't keep this Phoenix back at home. It's great if you keep the Phoenix at home. It's like, surprise, if Clem Widowmine drops, you get a free Widowmine, drop kill, basically. But obviously, scouting to see, oh, you are going to be a little bit more aggressive on the ground. It just tells him, right, maybe this Robo finishes, I get an Immortal quickly. Gateways are finishing, let's make sure I warp in off those. Let's not hold money for another Stargate unit. Those are adaptations you can make because now you've played in a way that gives you that info. I think that's very important, and I think that's pretty much what you've got to be doing against Clem. It's nice to take the risk and be like, oh, I'll keep the Phoenix at home, but you know Clem can be so dangerous early game. Sometimes it's good just to get out there and do it. Losing a Phoenix early definitely ain't going to help you, though.
Yeah, it feels like for these early pushes, you need just every little bit of unit that you can get. So losing a Phoenix this early on does not feel all that great. This is just an archetypical Clem push. He says, yeah, you know what? You scouted me. That's fine. I'm going to take whatever I have. It's going to be the kitchen sink, and I'm going to run across the map, and I'm just going to catch you off guard. So the rally from Clem continues, which is almost surprising. I expected him to just send what he had and then maybe build up for later, but he continues to rally across the map right now. And Harstem, I don't know whether he thinks this is just maybe the best way to pull that army back or whether he's underestimated what's happening, but he has a stalker and two adepts at home. As this significant army comes across, Stim is done in just about 10 seconds. And 8-10 Stim Marines plus a tank plus a Cyclone. It is a difficult thing for Harstem to deal with. And especially now as he sees the Phoenix on the other side, he's just going to look to Stim in. And I do not know, Wardy, that Harstem has enough to deal with this.
I think Harstem had no idea that he would have started Immortal much sooner. He would have used the Robo just in general much more early. I mean, this is horrible. He's going to lose all these units. Probes pull in. This might not end the game per se, but it's going to be a lot of damage done. It's going to set Clem up for good things in the future, right? As these Marines are getting low, the Immortal will die. We kill the Warp in. Here come the Phoenix, which can clean out the Marines. There's going to be a tank left here. Yeah, it's not going to end the game specifically, but obviously puts Harstem into a pretty rough position as Clem is going to just do so much damage, right? And okay, Harstem's building a third. That's about to finish. He keeps the Robo alive so he can build a Colossus immediately, but I just can't imagine this is going to end up going well for... I just can't imagine this is going to end up well for Harstem here going further down the line, right? I mean, this is the sort of build where Clem, a minute from now, just has everything set up to go again. He's up in your face, and you just can't possibly have enough units to hold because of how this first fight went.
I mean, that's nice. Knocking down two medevac.
Though. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. That's definitely a step back into the game, right? I mean, that's the one thing Clem shouldn't be letting happen because... You know, letting these Phoenix dart in and out, they are the units that can be very efficient that Harstem has right now. So letting them do this is the one way that Clem can kind of give it up. And yes, credit to Harstem for being out there and finding that, but I think a little bit more faults to Clem for letting the medevacs be in a position where they can be killed like that in the first place.
Man, it's easy to almost feel cocky. You're like, look, I just killed 15 workers. I knocked down almost every single thing you had on the ground. I even killed a couple Phoenix. Yeah. I'm not worried about anything. I think you're going to be at home defensively, and then when you're not, well, that does work out rather well for Harstem. But the one saving grace, we talk about how that push didn't end the game, Wardy, but I mean, you put it in air quotes and you say it ended the game. This is Glittering Ashes, and ending the game before 4 bases just feels so incredibly difficult sometimes just because of how long it takes to get across, and then you have those ramps outside of the third. So, Clem, this next push coming in now, but we have 2 Colossus on the field, and we have 7 Phoenix. This army does not really seem like one that is going to break what Harstem has now. It's going to maybe start to set the idea for breaking him later as maybe he forces him out of position. But for right now, 2 medevacs with a bio is just not going to be enough here. Widowmine is going to go on the Phoenix, but not really get anything. The one Phoenix that targeted was already dead thanks to the Marines. And Clem, he's not going to find his way on the high ground. So Harstem, he survives to maybe fight another day.
Yeah, it just feels like Clem... Even getting a Phoenix here, right? He's now killed 3 in this game in total. It's one of those situations where how much can 5 Phoenix do versus if you had 7 or 8? And oh my goodness, that would have mine hurts a lot as well. It goes off, big splash damage, another dead Phoenix, and yeah, now they're not going to be able to find as much. And they were just starting to kind of prove me wrong, maybe, as Clem intercepts as well. Great moves with the Marines. I'm very good at just being all around this map at the moment and just slowly shaving away at Harstem's forces and just making it so that when these two do end up fighting big time, there's going to be as little as possible on Harstem's side to help him make this work. As I mean, Clem's pushing forward now. We'll see if that's something that can turn into anything.
We got to remember, the Phoenix, they take the role of stalkers in most of these early games. That's why we don't see, well, personally, you can't afford it, but that's why we don't see early stalkers in these Phoenix games, is because the Phoenix, their job is to, well, service drop defense, which they've been doing a decent job, but also to deal with the Vikings in the sky until you're able to get charged out, until you're much further on. So losing all these Phoenix does mean that as Clem approaches critical mass on the Vikings, as he gets to 9 to 12 Vikings, depending on the Colossus count, there's going to be really nothing that deals with them. So these Colossus are almost guaranteed to die in a straight up fight, which does make it easier for Clem to take the fight, but well, just makes it harder for Harstem to take it, really. But again, can Clem find his way on the high ground? Can he punish a Harstem that is still looking to expand, that is still looking to power up in this game?
Yeah, It's definitely tough, right? Because the bases are all up on that high ground. You got to go up a ramp. He is going to come up the left side. Even if he goes north and just kills off a couple scouting pylons, that's nice. Because it just takes map vision away from Harstem. I think that's the one thing you can do right now as Clem. And the more map vision you take away from him, the higher chance there is that you find that opening, you find that way into one of these bases to actually take the fight. That can maybe just end this game in your favor already. Because if Harstem's fully in position with his army, no, he shouldn't. Okay, come on. He shouldn't really be in too much trouble, but he just keeps losing Phoenix as well. He's actually almost looking to go down that ramp. Maybe the Disruptor would like to go down clean out of mine, but that's now a Disruptor shot not available for this army. Perhaps just stimming in. I feel like Clem's probably feeling pretty positive about things after the last few moments. The Phoenix dying and everything. We'll see if we can find anything, but just too tough with the Stag defense there still.
Oh man, I'm getting flashbacks to like Heart of the Swarm TVZ, just random Widow mines all over the map, killing off all the mutas. And granted, these are Phoenix, they're not mutas, they are different, but yeah, it's the same idea. Clem doing a great job. They're just really finding value where he can't find it in the main army, because again, that high ground position. But it does appear also that Harstem does want to take that more exposed fifth base. That's kind of what he's been posturing for. So Clem moving in there, knocking down pylons, knocking down vision, does that make that more difficult, as you said. And now we're just gonna have to see if that Widowmine shot happens, because, well, Clem's queuing up right as he's got at least a decent fight queued up here on the left side, hoping to distract Harstem.
Yeah, even if you just kind of go in and you pull back, it feels like when Clem does this, you've got to be immediately double checking your mineral lines and stuff, or your mini map at least, right? Because why is he going up here just to pull back? It almost always feels like Clem's got some other plan, right? Some secondary intention. In this case, that's exactly what happened. 8 probes going down, and Clem is just going to push Harstem into even more of a worker deficit. You know, in the long run, 8 workers might not hurt too much, but as that Disruptor shot just misses, it is this kind of game now where Clem is just continuing to stay in control, right? He's just killing off workers, he's keeping Harstem low. Harstem just doesn't have the comfort he had in the last game. What can he do to find it? He needs to push this army back, and DTs might be the way for that to happen, right? If he can get enough DTs on the map, maybe a Zella run by the other side at the same time, and that can maybe force Clem to kind of turn home. Maybe that gives Harstem a little bit of safety. Maybe he can finally be out of his base again. And maybe his army can actually just straight up, you know, be as strong as it's meant to be as well, because it's not just constantly forced to be hanging back, going this way, then that way, trying to figure out where Clem's going to attack in from.
Oh man, that Widowmine in the third had 2 shots off. Harstem even had the opportunity to kill it. He had Phoenix on top, but he was killing the medevac. I guess he just kind of, you know, 8-clicked and went to take a look at something else, which is unfortunate. But we want to talk about how Clem is looking to snowball this game out of his advantages that he has found. He's not building, you know, this massive army supply. He's roughly equal on Harstem in supply in general. Harstem has been allowed to max out. But Clem just added, I think, like 4 command centers. He is expanding to take the map. And if you're the Terran and you just have this opponent that you can operate, yeah, just take the map and get so many mules and just hit him with your wallet. Harstem tried to do that in the last game, not quite successful. So we don't even have that. We don't even have the idea really of this carrier transition, because Harstem, despite having 1,000 minerals in the bank and having 1,000 the gas in the bank, he is going to feel rather broke, just because of all the workers that he's lost and how powerful Clem has been and how many bases he's going to scout with these zealots.
Yep, these zealots going to go down as well without really doing too much. And Harstem, you don't really want to be here. He wants to probably knock down these rocks to open up some pathways. That central area is obviously just deadly to be running through, because if you get disrupted, if you get EMV'd, and then, you know, you're trying to get away, it's all kind of rock in single file. And Vikings already grabbing a Colossus here. This might just be a scary enough army from Clem that you can chase. And the Vikings, obviously, if they're going to get 2 Colossi this quickly, then you're really only relying on the Disruptors for splash. So just make it kind of scary for Harstem as he blinks into his own Disruptor shot. That's not the Disruptor shots you're looking for.
No, it really isn't. And it's kind of cool here. Clem overbuilt Vikings. He was, I think, 11 at the start of that fight, which is more than you need for 3 Colossus. But it does mean that even if a couple go down, you're still going to be pretty happy with things. Maybe still worried about the Phoenix play. But certainly here, this potential 5th base that Harstem has been trying to posture for a while, it's not going up. In fact, the pylon that was supposed to prepare for that is canceled. And Harstem, he builds the base under the scan when Clem's army is right there, which does feel a little bit scary. Harstem trying to set up for some sort of disruptor flank, at least predict his opponent. But that's not going to happen, and now we have these Liberators here. In fact, Clem, he's so happy with this game, he's going for Infernal Pre-Igniters. He's going to make those medevacs, as he does get a kill, not a cancel on that base. He's going to make his medevacs boost for forever, which is, I can't remember the last time I saw that upgrade in a game of StarCraft, Wardy.
Yeah, it's one you don't see a whole lot. Sometimes every now and then someone sneaks it in, and Yeah, I mean, I guess obviously why not? If your, Liberator range is already done, may as well just sneak the Medivac upgrade out as well. He still does have a lot of Medivac, so can absolutely make some use of it. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, I mean, this is just rough. Harstem is just trying to re-expand still. He's still trying to get those extra base up. Here comes some DTs. His hope in this game really lies on these DTs doing a lot. And even if they just don't kill a lot of workers, but again, can just act as a distraction. I think that alone has a lot of potential, but we need that to start happening, because otherwise Clem is just sat here picking fights when he wants them to, putting his Liberators where he wants them to be. Harstem just has, again, no control over what's happening. It's all about Clem, and Clem is just deciding the entire fate of this game as he initiates this fight. The Disruptors are going to force him back for quite a while, but he's already killing one or two, and the Libs are going to come forward to once again put themselves in that just position where, Liberators can be very effective. Get on top of a base, and then what do you do? Force an immediate blink forward. Vikings get rid of the last Colossus. Disruptor shot goes off, but there goes the base, and the DTs still haven't found their damage.
I mean, 6 SCVs is something, Wardy, but it is, you're right, it's certainly not enough here. Now, EMPs on top of that entire army. Archons run forward, but all Clem has to do is just touch them, poke them a little bit, and they're going to fall down. So now Clem running forward once again. The amount of Disruptors, even with these ranged Liberators, is just enough to keep Clem back, but it also means that with this amount of Liberators, Harstem's never really going to be aggressive with this army right now. It's all about trying to stay alive on these 4 bases, while Clem has, 5, 6 bases, so many orbitals. And he's even getting building plating. He's even moving to that next level of tech, so it's not even like you can run 15 Zealots and a couple DTs in and make something happen. Now Harstem blinks forward, trying to clean this spot where maybe Clem is not paying attention. But Wardy, Clem is always paying attention. He's the eye in the sky that sees you all the time, and he will not allow that to work out.
No, Clem is going to stay on top of it, right? I feel like we're getting one more DTs massed across the map. Harstem seemingly really knows his only offense is in those DTs, so maybe if they cause enough chaos, everything else can become viable on the map once again. But until then, yeah, he's just defending, and it's not really any avail, right? Clem is just too good to kind of let those shots go off. Nice blink away, realizes Clem's going to have those EMPs down quickly, and those DTs are going to attempt to recall out of that. Looks like they'll be out alive. So that's good news, at least. Obviously, losing all those DTs would have been very expensive.
Oh, Liberator's going to get a couple Disruptors there. Oh no, okay, never, they're going to get out in time. But again, it's a matter of money. And Wardy, do me a favor. Look at the resources lost tab.
I don't want to.
Okay. Well, I won't make you, but it's a lot. It's painful. Oh, that's going to be a good shot to start things out, though. But there is so much Venn diagram of death here with these Liberators that even as Harstem's trying to find his way around, trying to find some edge, there is no edge. Every time you blink in, you're going to be under the fire of 2+ Disruptors, which means, hey, that's a one-shot potential. But DTs, they will find this 4th base that Clem has had for just about forever. But you trade her base for a base at this point, that is absolutely something that favors Clem.
Yeah, I love the Venn diagram of death, because it definitely feels like in this game, every part of that Venn diagram is just you die. And then they're all crossing over, you die even harder, right? I mean, a lot of Disruptor shots do land here, but these are coming at costs which Harstem's going to be finding difficult to replace, whereas Clem is a little bit more comfortable with so many CCs. Even when he's losing bases, the orbitals are just rebuilding so quickly. It's not really leaving you in a bad spot or anything, right? So Clem should just continue to feel pretty good about this right now. And I mean, obviously, just very different from the first game we saw here. This one where Clem's been in control pretty much the entire time. Harstem's always been the defender, trying to hang on in there, trying to make something happen, and just not quite being able to.
Well, I mean, this is absolutely something. You knock down an orbital, you kill 2 planetaries in the last minute, and now you just take a fighting retreat. You say, yeah, Disruptors, they're going to zone you out as I run back home. Because the DTs are finding more value in the last minute or so. It was a 7K resource loss differential, but now it's getting now it's only 2K. Now Harstem has been trading, so he's been playing the map so gosh darn efficiently in this game that he's going to find himself another orbital, another Liberator. And Clem now, we talked about last game where it didn't really feel like Harstem knew where he had to go with this army. It feels like Clem is waffling just a little bit more, but he's looking to set up this surround, looking to set up this concave and punish Harstem for the sheer temerity to exist on the map, flanking around from the right side as well. Where are Disruptors? No, Harstem, he triggers the fight early. He says, I don't want your army to come together. That is death for me, but maybe if I fight part of it in time, maybe that is going to be enough here. And these Disruptors are doing a great job of allowing him to take that fighting retreat. But you do still have to retreat, Harstem. You can't just take this fight head up.
Just worry that Clem's really going to get across the map and just start sieging Libs, and Harstem's right back to where he was. He's going to at least deny mining off this base, so that's already coming at a little bit of a cost here. Harstem losing out there. He is going to try and re-expand back to the top side. I mean, credit to him. He's been denying bases. He's gotten a couple of his own bases up, even if they're currently being delayed from mining a little bit. He's done what he needed to make this game competitive again, and I love this. Now opening up these rocks that he didn't open up earlier, just gives him some of these flanking opportunities. Maybe just run past the army, maybe just get around the side of those liberators for a couple of pickoffs. This really sets you up with a lot of potential as all these libs going to go sieging up. Disruptor shots trying to fly through, but not quite landing. Now getting a couple of the Vikings, which actually got disrupted themselves moments ago. And again, the disruptors just constantly throwing their orbs over at Clem. It just allows Harstem to make these long, slow retreats. Just again, eventually he has to be able to make a stand at some point. And right now he's out of position up this right-hand side. And that might be a dead base. The libs are going to zone out on the bottom side as well. And this does not look pretty.
No, it doesn't, but it is a disruptor shot. Clem is not getting extended. That was a little scary, but this base only has 4 mineral patches left for it. It's not nearly as important as it once was, outside of maybe as a location, a production location, and that disruptor pops out to its immediate doom. 10 workers fall. But at a point here, Clem was up 40 army supply. He was really taking advantage of the fact that he just lost a lot of workers, but now his economy is shattered and he doesn't have that big of an army supply lead anymore, Wardy. If these disruptor or if these liberators go down, it is not a simple idea for Clem to take this fight anymore.
I think the problem I have is that these other bases are now exposed. I know the Harstem's army was just there, but he was forced to split up. This gives Clem access to other bases as well, as he can split up a little bit now. It just feels like Clem's army is finally somewhere where Harstem has to properly deal with it rather than just run away from it. And that's kind of the issue. This base is going to go down. Disruptor shots are landing. Clem's not going to have too much left. It's still just a lot of libs. He is doing okay on the top, but he can actually lift up over there and evacuate his units as well, so making the most of them.
Oh, no.
Yeah, these liberators are just so difficult to fight through. And in fairness, Harstem's not really had a chance in this game to stop them from kind of being here or to do anything about them. But it's just a consequence of kind of a weaker early game that he now has to face. These libs are just creating areas you cannot possibly move through. And that's what Clem is using to just push his way truly into position to maybe just close this fully out. Harstem's going to come in with a flank, it seems, and go for 2 directions at once. This is where the liberators will be a bit weak. This is where he's finally going to break it, but only after finally ending up 50 supply down.
Though, it was looking really scary there for a second, but knocking down all those liberators did make a significant difference. But Wardy, there are still 8 there. Clem has been building them 2 at a time, 4 at a time for the last forever. And even as you knock down one army, there's another one to take its place. Harstem, he move commanded so much of his army into that army of Clem that just really became a problem. But lots of zealots. Mr. Gateway Man on the backside trying to catch the army where the disruptors or the liberators are not. But also it is where the disruptors are not here. And they're just going to run through the liberation zones. They're going to be free of life in this game. Much like Harstem is free of life in this game. 2-0 Clem.
2-0 Clem. Honestly, pretty... I know Harstem made a bit of a bounce back at the end of this game. He really did. He got in a position where I was like, okay, I'm actually kind of starting to make some moves. I'm killing some base. I'm feeling a lot more comfortable. But I think at the end of the day, Clem was just in control of this game throughout. And it was just the power of the disruptors defensively that stopped him ending it. But I love what he did when he finally got up that ramp. He's like, oh, wow, this is a great position to be in. Because finally, I'm already in a dangerous position rather than needing to get into one. And he really made the most of it. And just, I love as well that he immediately split some units off to the top, recognizing I don't need to reinforce here. The position itself is strong enough. What I need to stop happening is the flank. So if I attack to the north side, what that means is that then you have to respond to that. That takes away one of your flanks. Boom, I can progress to your more exposed bases. Yeah, it was just really cool moves at the end for Clem to finally finish it off. Credit Harstem, played the right kind of game to stay alive, but if this was a Berlingrad, then I think he dies a lot sooner as well, right? So he just needs to sharpen up early and mid game, which is difficult to do because you're playing against Clem, and Clem is really freaking good at making that early and mid game miserable for Protoss players.
Yeah, I mean, that is that is absolutely his strength. Or I just want to go back to that fight around that, what was it, the 4th base on the right side, 5th base, where Harstem, you're right, he's almost there. It feels like his comeback almost happens, and then he move commands his disruptors and his stalkers into 4, 5, 6 liberators set up and the entire army, and then he loses so much of that. And suddenly, instead of being within like 5, 10 army supply, you're like, okay, he's finally there. He's mining more. He's built this bank. Just needs to buy a little more time. Suddenly, he's down 50 supply, and it's like, okay, well, you had one shot to come back, and that one shot is just, it's not there anymore.
Let's see what happens going into game number 3, down 0-2 in the bottom left-hand corner from the Shopify Rebellion. This is Harstem.
His opponent for Team Liquid in the red, looking for a date in the semifinals, the winners finals. He is Clem.
I think we'd all be down for a little bit of Clem Raynor later today. A classic in the European scene. There's great matches, obviously. You get to this top 6 of Europe, and every matchup is exciting, right? And I think one of the very exciting things is even if Harstem loses out here, he drops down to that lower bracket, he plays against Lambo, right? And if he plays against Lambo, you know, it's a very winnable series for him. Like, I would favor Lambo a little bit, I think, but I think lately Harstem has shown that he's absolutely capable in that matchup in PvZ. And that gets me really excited because even if this PvT doesn't work out, he gets a bit of time to reset, then boom, you move into that PvZ, and he could still qualify for that paid trip to Valencia. As, Clem even losing the SCV here as he goes for that engineering bait block.
And that is suboptimal. And you talk about the potential of Harstem PvZ. Well, he's got to play PvZ either way. He either has to play Raynor, he has to play Lambo, and I think we all know Raynor's the scarier opponent of the two, but still you're prepping for that. And Wardy, I was talking to Scarlet last night. Like, okay, you know, how do you feel about your matchup? But one thing she said was, you know, Harstem is top 2 PvZ in the West right now. Now, Hero is probably the best PvZ player in the world, but she puts Harstem as just on that level of the best or one of the 2 best PvZ players outside of Korea, which, you know, regardless of whether it is going to be Lambo or Raynor, that is pretty enticing.
That's definitely exciting, right? Like, you know, getting that sort of praise, people are, you know, out here saying, hey, look, you know, this guy's really good right now. He's definitely, you know, capable. It's exciting. And I feel like his PvZ's been kind of working or trending towards this for a long time as well. You know, he's been getting better and better in this matchup. I feel like I've really noticed, you know, it's been in cool progress. So, yeah, whether he turns this around and wins it or if he loses out, definitely excited to see some more Harstem later on today in this. Kind of a little bit of a special in Europe, right? Getting those 5 best of 5s instead of just the 4. Yeah, we had to miss out yesterday, but now that we've had the day of missing out, we're on the day of making up for it. And yeah, it just means loads of awesome games between loads of awesome players. I'm excited, man. Ooh, we're just starting.
Yeah, Wardy, I'm literally a StarCraft junkie. So yes, give me more games. Allow me to just feed that addiction in a painful way. But we did notice that Clem, he did go eBay block and then he built his command center on the low ground, which means theoretically Harstem will be able to delay it. There we go. But as the Marines pop out here, as the Reaper's here as well, he doesn't want to lose the Adept. Shade goes out and it looks like, he's going to turn back for the Reaper and he's going to get out here. Ooh, fancy feed from the Dutch Protoss.
I believe the Reaper got blocked by its own Marines there. Clem shakes his head. I think he knows that Reaper absolutely could have been away there. Just annoying to lose. He is going to kill off. Ooh, actually both these Adepts, right? Because this Adept didn't shade away very far, so both Adepts go down. Has a little bit of a redemption arc for Clem, at least here in the early stages. As he's actually going to find one more Adept in the center. The Adept actually finds the Hellion, I guess, more so. And the Adept is just going to shade back to grab this Hellion. And that's going to be no scouting for Clem, at least. So Oracle might still be able to get in as a little bit of a surprise. And that's going to be Harstem changing it up. We said maybe, or at least I said, I'd like to see him change it up when he gets to game number 3. He is doing so. It's still a Stargate, but with an Oracle and make it 2 Oracles this time, it's going to be very different to playing immediately into Phoenix.
And one thing we got to remember is the fact that a couple of Adepts were able to kill Marines early. Now, for a single Oracle, probably not going to make a difference. And in fact, what are we on? We're still on single barracks play, but you know, maybe if you do go to 3 Oracles or something like that, Hero's done this on the rare occasion, then you're able to knock down the Marines, and knocking down that early interior does matter. But anyway, in this game, Oracle's going to try to find his way in, and Clem's actually just not reacting, so that's going to be a Mule and an SCV. Not even hull damage going down on this just yet. Oracle's going to try to find a third, gets it, and single Oracles do not really do much damage against Terrans unless it's a fully wide open mineral line, because of course it does take 3 damage instances. It takes longer to kill these SCVs. So nice job there from Harstem on the start. He's got a second Oracle now. It's gonna be interesting to see whether he syncs these up or whether he just puts them in 2 different mineral lines. As he looks to fly in right now. There are some Marines, but he does get a 4th worker and almost kills a Marine, but not quite. And hey, 3 workers, a Mule, good vision, excellent scouting, and some really solid defensive utility outside of the 3rd base. I'll take that.
Yeah, I like it. It's definitely been strong for Harstem. We're going to see Clem taking this Raven down the side of the map and see if he can make up for a little bit of this opening by getting some worker kills with some auto turrets or so. And I'm absolutely down for that as well. Actually, it's a bit risky when there's a Stargate play, right? But because it's double Oracle, less likely it's going to be Phoenix, which means that this Raven has a good chance of actually making it out of there alive as well, which is even more exciting. So, yeah, cool to see Clem with an opportunity to get back in, perhaps. As the Oracles for now just try and keep picking up that information, just try and keep Harstem in the know as to what's currently going on.
And we got to point out, this is the build, or this is at least a variant of the build, that every Protoss I talked to leading up to Katowice said, yes, this is going to dominate PvT. This is the new broken build. This is going to be the story of the matchup. And then Ryong Win hit with his early stim time. He's killed every Protoss. And you're like, well, was it though? But going into Katowice, everyone was talking about kind of this Oracle and the Blink Stalker Zest build. That it just felt like it was so hard for Terrans to deal with because it just gives so much agency on the map. And it just makes it almost impossible for the Terran to really move across. But Clem is going to attempt that now. Blink not quite done, and Charge is now going to be done in, what, a minute and a half? So we're going to have to see now, can Clem take advantage of this slim timing before the tech really is ready for Harstem in earnest?
Yeah, now is the kind of the time, right, as he is going to start moving through. These Stalkers doing a good job of just pulling back and making life a little bit difficult there, so doing okay with that so far. I'm just going to be seeing the Marine Tank Force. It's going to get in position at least. He has got this Raven still, by the way, so you can bring that in, auto turret, or just an anti-armor missile in the middle of everything. Oh, Harstem sees it, doesn't get the final shot. Oh my goodness, he actually got one more shot, but that still wasn't enough. Now we're going to see the anti-armor missile. It does connect on quite a few of the Stalkers, and they will melt a little quicker than the rest. Auto turret goes down. That's the last act of that Raven. The tank firing up the storm. The Marines trying to get through here. The super battery will fade away as the tank shots continue to go down. If nothing else, Clem's trading pretty darn well. He's killed off the Oracle as well. It's just a lot of important units that have gone down here from Harstem that are not easy to rebuild.
No, they are. And I want to point out, Clem, he scans going into that third base, so he sees the safety trap going up, and it means that the Marines, they're not trapped in a prison of their own making. So it does mean that actually this fight does work out here. Charge on the way, not ready just yet. Widowmine's getting added in. They're going to burrow just on top of these tanks because he knows the Stalkers want to blink on top of that one, but the Adept says, no, I will sacrifice my life for the cause. The tank does fall. One Widowmine as well. And Miat the Immortal here, it's still not dead, proving its name. And his probes get pulled one at a time, I guess, just to tank. Harstem is actually blinking really damn well here. And it's making it really hard for Clem to push this advantage that he is looking for. In fact, the army supplies, instead of snowballing out of control like we normally see with this push, they're starting to equalize. They're starting to find their way a little bit more in the Protoss favor, and that will force Clem back for the moment. He cannot punch through. And now Harstem, he's up 14 workers. His third base is so far ahead of Clem's. He has his armor upgrade. His +1's on the way. He's going to be pretty happy with how this has worked out.
Yeah, I think the defense ends up pretty okay for him. I'm still a little worried that Clem just has another wave almost like ready to come here, and that might be kind of scary. Clem just has that kind of power, right, to just be always kind of a threat. Let's see, as he's actually going to start going to the left. Harstem starts up a fourth, and that might be a new target for Clem, at least something you can take advantage of. As Harstem going to see this with the probe, and yeah, Clem stims, that probably gets cancelled before Harstem gets over there.
We do need to remember, Charge is done now, as Widowmines are going to go and kill what single zealot at a time, not really finding the value they're looking for, and he keeps the base alive. The addition of Charge and these heavily armored zealots, although that's a decent Widowmine shot, the addition of these heavily armored zealots make it nigh impossible for these roughly equal army supply fights to really work out for the Terran player at this point. His ring around the rosy does mean the dead zealot, the friendly fire kills the Marine as well, but just minor advantages there. Clem making sure he finds as much value as possible. But Charge is done. The next fight from Clem, he's going to have that one to contend with, and we see a second Robo on the way. Robo Bay is done. It looks like Harstem wants to move into Disruptors behind this, but he's not building them just yet. And he does have had this timing where he could have them just now, and instead actually it will be Colossus. But here comes Clem once again. The Liberators, the zoning, the space control. And this is a bit scary, especially with these 4 Widowmines. Harstem, he's going to be able to blink out most of them. But now, can he take the fight?
Yeah, I mean, he actually lost the right side army. I mean, obviously the Widowmines didn't connect or anything, but what they did do, the Blink Forward doesn't get a medevac. What they did do is they forced that left side to take a little while longer to engage, and it let Clem win the fight on the right side. I think that was really critical, because if everything collapses at the same time there, then Clem's in trouble. But yeah, the mines actually did what they needed to. And at first, when the blink back happened, I was like, yeah, they're not really doing anything, but the time it bought really did deliver. And Well, Clem's just going to keep up this pressure. He will not stop. He's got a little drop head on the left side. He's going to have to contend with the Colossus now, though. Maybe that makes it just a little bit more difficult to really push into this base.
Well, the Colossus don't have extended thermal lance just yet. Is Harstem paying attention to this one? He warped in, but that's about it. 13! That is one of the bigger Widowmine shots we've seen today. And extended thermal lance not yet done, so the Marauders technically, they can get on top of this Colossus and they can share that range. But for now, force fields are going to be enough to keep it out. Again, Harstem keeping his third base alive, but the Widowmines, not only did they find value, they're still there. Armory is done. Harstem has not reacted to this, and give it another 5-10 seconds. Okay, Observer's coming back. He will be able to deal with this one, but not before losing another probe, which at this point, worker counts have equalized. Harstem no longer has the significant eco lead that he's been building.
Yep, it's kind of just falling apart over time, right? And Clem gets a fourth base up. Pissing down the Zealot. Takes a little while longer than maybe expected. But Clem's just been so good with his transitions to Ghost on the field, right? And Harstem, yeah, he's got a few Colossi up, but it feels like an EMP and a couple of Viking shots, and they can disappear very quickly. And then what? All his first Disruptors making their way out, and obviously DTs as well. Both of these just going to be ways for him to kind of win a longer game and, you know, kind of stay in it a little bit, put some kind of pressure on Clem, because that's the one thing Harstem's not really had in a long time. Is actually some real pressure to Clem that's actually being successful at doing anything. Clem has just been on the map, on Harstem's side of the map, and forcing and picking the fights as he pleases. As Medevac's go down, though, so it's a nice catch, if nothing else.
Liberator finds a little value, but not all that much. And one thing we got to point out here, this is 3 Colossus for Harstem. He has extended thermal lance. That is a scary army when there were only 4 Vikings on the map, because Clem did commit to Medevacs and Liberators early, trying to kill Harstem before this happened. So if Harstem takes a fantastic fight in the next minute or so, is able to break out, take his 5th base, and maybe start to put pressure on Clem, it's all going to be okay. But as of right now, Harstem has been playing the style that is not exactly designed to trade efficiently. It's designed to build macro leads. It is designed to find probe leads. It is designed to find base leads. And now that Clem has been able to slap that down a little bit, the fact that Harstem has been trading worse means his upgrades are slower. His tech is slower. He's kind of falling behind as we move into that mid-late game state just because of the map state. So we're going to have to see if Harstem can try to take a fight. Instead, he's going to eat a Widowmine shot on the Disruptors. Not exactly what you're going for there, Wardy.
Definitely not ideal, as it's Harstem that kind of needs the one to be finding this, that, and anything, right? Rather than giving Clem even more pieces just before the fights really break out in the larger stage. Harstem's gonna, I mean, it feels like he's almost wanting to move up the left-hand side, make something happen, but it's just so difficult to believe that that's a real possibility. Looks like he just wants to take a base over here, and maybe if he can draw this out again, just, I mean, where does he go to? The problem is it feels like he's heading in the same direction he's gone in games 1 and 2. And those games have not gone really any better for him the longer that they went, right? If anything, the longer it goes, the worse it seems to get. Clem is once again on his way to these Liberators. That's going to be very effective. We've seen that in the past. Just feels like we're on our way to something which is not really going to be super kind of hopeful for Harstem. I don't want to be super negative, but I just don't see what's going to be different this time around. As Clem makes his way in, this is a good fight, just hits an EMP, makes the Disruptors a little bit more killable despite the super battery. And just get some damage done. Boost on out of there. And again, just keeping the trades going in his favor.
I mean, Wardy, in fairness, Harstem went from just insanely behind and almost dead in game 2 to almost making a comeback happen as that game did go late. Now, you might argue that that is the map as much as anything else, but even still, you know, saying that, oh, well, Clem is just so much better than Harstem in the late game, I don't know that that is totally fair, although you lose the start. You can't do that. You just can't do that. That is all the Disruptors in this army going down, which means the Vikings, they're just free-firing, nothing to really keep the Stalkers alive here. The Colossus are starting to fall, and yeah, Guardian Shield is good, but is it good enough? The tech of the army of Harstem has been evaporated just in a second here. You need that second level of splash to these Ghost and Marauders on the third base, and I gave credit Harstem in the late game, but you gotta survive there, and he's not there whatsoever. This army from Clem is doing everything, and the curse holds. Clem 3-0 against Raynor. He moves to the next round, or